सह वीर्यं वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। मेरी आवाज सब लोग सुन पा रहे हैं अच्छी तरह?
Yes, yes, yes.
जी महाराज जी।
तो अभी कुंडू समरी करोगे?
Yes, Maharaj.
ओके।
In this lecture, Swamiji expounds some of his ideas about philosophy and religion with relation to the practical aspects of daily life and conduct. Theoretical aspects of religion may be very good, but if it is not practicable, then it's of no use. And Swamiji goes on to establish that Vedanta philosophy is intensely practical as it obliterates the imaginary differentiation between sacred and secular and establishes the oneness of existence. It's a noteworthy fact that Vedanta originated not from the seclusion of forests, but from the absolute monarchs leading the busiest lives. The story of Svetketu and King Javali beautifully illustrates this point, where we see a sage, Aruni, approaching the king for the knowledge of the ultimate truth. Bhagavad Gita is the best commentary on the Vedanta philosophy, and it was told in a battlefield. The doctrine of Gita is intense activity in eternal calmness. Inactivity in the sense of passivity cannot be the goal, nor can be activity when it is combined with passion. The best attitude to work is when it's done with balanced, undisturbed mind. Apparently, we feel that we work best when we do it passionately, but too much of energy is wasted when we let loose our feelings. The lives of the great men demonstrate that they could accomplish so much because they possessed a calm, forgiving, equable, and well-balanced mind. The ideal of Vedanta is far ahead of the real, which we call practical world. But we must be aware of the two contradictory tendencies of human nature. One is to harmonize the ideal with the real life, and another is to elevate life to the ideal. The first one is compromise, giving in to our baser passions like selfishness, anger, or greed. To give up sense enjoyment looks impractical. The ideal is embraced so long as it does not harm my self-interest. We use the word practical to mean what we like or can do. But Vedanta elevates us to the ideal. It brings forth the divinity in us. It shows the human soul as pure and omniscient, beyond the pale of birth and death. It encourages us to go beyond all weaknesses. It teaches men to have faith in themselves. Here, Swamiji declared a new interpretation of religion and belief. While older religions termed a man atheist who does not believe in God, according to Vedanta, he who does not believe in himself is an atheist. While common sense says that ideal cannot be reached, Vedanta insists that it can be realized by every soul. In fact, it is realized already as it is within us. We have put a hand before our eyes and do not see it. Thus, Vedanta not only insists that the ideal is practical, but it is our own nature. Everything else is false, a delusion. Vedanta recognizes no sin, only error. And the greatest error is to consider ourselves as weak. Such thoughts put layers on our soul and covers its pristine nature. Vedanta makes no attempt to reconcile this life with the ideal. This life of falsity must go, and the native purity of the soul must manifest itself with freedom, love, and power. This realization it is not the preserve of a few sages living away from society. Men of intense activity and social responsibilities found time to think out these sublime thoughts, realize them, and taught them to the humanity. It's shameful that we, who are relatively much more free from worldly duties, cannot realize them. We do not try hard enough. In our pursuit of useless desires and wants, we make excuses and try to degrade the ideal to the actual. Vedanta, on the other hand, teaches us to reconcile the actual life to the ideal, eternal life. The central idea of Vedanta is oneness. There's nothing like this world and heaven or hell hereafter. Existence is one. The difference between our lives, including those of animals, is only in degree, not in kind. The prevailing belief that animals were created for food of human beings has no basis from Vedantic viewpoint. If we see life from the highest standpoint, all differences vanish. It's like seeing something in the physical world. From the ground level, something is high, some low. But if one sees the same from a higher plane, the grass and the tree look same. If we believe God as the creator, it is unthinkable that he will be partial to a species. Even when the animal is killed for food, it cannot be justified in any way. The ideal of non-injury cannot be dragged down to the actual life with any excuse. It does not appeal to the majority as it implies giving up the actual. Most people want a theory which is reconciled with their present conduct. There is a strong tendency in human nature for status quo. We do not want to strive higher, even after knowing fully well that the present state is leading us to bondage and misery. But progress is not possible if we give up our struggle towards the ideal. Swamiji tells us to be careful about those who talk of compromise and lowers the ideal. Man should not be degraded to the worldly slavery, but should be raised up to God. But that doesn't mean that we become contemptuous of those who don't subscribe to our views. All are going towards the same goal. There is no fundamental difference between weakness and strength. All is one. The difference is only in degree. He urges us not to condemn anyone. Criticism and condemnation is a vain way of spending our energies. The doctrine of Vedanta is of positivity and strength. Harping on weakness will not cure it. One has to deal with it with inner strength. Swamiji gives a clarion call, and I quote, "Never say no, never say I cannot, for you are infinite. Even time and space are nothing as compared with your nature. You can do anything and everything. You are almighty." Unquote. Having spoken of the principles of ethics, Swamiji comes down to show how it can be applied in daily life. First is the ideal of faith in self. The inner weakness will vanish if this is properly cultivated. All the great men possessed a tremendous faith in themselves. Even a common man, after immense suffering, turns around out of sheer desperation. But it's better if we practice it without going through all the trials. But this doctrine of Vedanta is not a selfish faith. Vedanta teaches the essential oneness of all selves. Man has got infinite capacity, which even science couldn't fathom in its entirety. One has to believe in that potential which lie behind the degradation on the surface. This Atman is first to be heard of. Whoever thinks of it day and night will be imbued with the idea that it is birthless, deathless, blissful, omniscient, omnipotent, and ever glorious. Once this idea is naturalized, action will come. The power of this thought will magnify, transform, and deify the action. We have to pass through the stages of delusion, but at least this will make the path less difficult for those who are coming after us. Many people get frightened with this doctrine of self reliance. They would rather pray to a personal God to fulfill their desires. But they don't realize that all the answers that came were from their own hearts. Religion should not only teach oneness of the universe and faith in one's self, not only philosophy and psychology, even material sciences also have declared the oneness. The world appears as many, like in a dream. In a dream, one sequence passes another as happiness and misery comes in life. But they are not permanent. They are the manifestation of the same one. We have taken the first step when we teach this truth to ourselves and others. Once we are convinced of our power, we will be able to apply it in our daily life. The test of truth is purity and oneness. It is essential to discriminate between right and wrong, true and false. Hatred is false because it makes for multiplicity, whereas love binds and makes for that oneness. One thought, our thought and action are to be judged from this standpoint, and we will have to only go for that which is for oneness. It is impossible to teach something which is unknown, as vouched by Saint Paul. It is through one's knowledge of the self that the entire world is known. We have to perceive ourselves first and then perceive the object. When the self is not there, the whole world vanishes. This infinite self appears as covered, but how can the limited cover something which is unlimited? Logically, it is impossible. Vedanta preaches the most practical God because nothing can be more practical than our own self. It teaches that you are the God. To understand this idea in detail, one has to proceed with patience. We have to see how ideas grow from a lower level, how selfish love grows into universal love. It is absolutely necessary to understand this concept intellectually. Intellect clears the path, but it has its limitation. Mere understanding cannot establish you in the ideal. For that, you require emotions and feelings. The feeling gradually gets intensified until you feel oneness in everything. Thomas Kempis insists that without intellect we'll make errors, that it is a balancing factor, but without feeling we cannot build anything. We grow in oneness through feeling and love. If we follow the lives of the prophets, we'll find that without much reading, they realized the highest truth. Without writing a book, they showed the way to humanity. It is feeling that is life, the strength, the vitality, without which no amount of intellectual activity can reach God. The most practical thing in Vedantic morality is the teaching that you are the God. We believe in God because we feel like God. Our divine self is the proof of divinity. Vedanta teaches us that everyone will attain godhood because God is already within us, only we are ignorant about it. Namaskar.
Good. Very fine. महाराज को अनम्यूट करवाना है.
Okay, now Chandan, you did a very long one. No, it is not very good. It is very long summary. You could have done it half even. Okay. So shall we start with the questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Subir Majumdar.
Pranam Maharaj.
Ah.
My first question is, how did a busy monarch himself learn of the Vedanta? Because we understand people and the sages who retire into solitude, they get the highest truths. But how does a busy monarch who is not in solitude learn this such highest truths of Vedanta?
You see, during this time, ancient Sanatana Dharma process, there was these three varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishya. All three used to go to Gurukula Vras, you know. Even before they entered into Grahastha life, they were with the Gurukul, isn't it?
Yes, Maharaj.
Krishna, Sudama lived together in the Gurukul. So
Ji,
that Gurukul tradition was there. And that was the basis of all the culture, all learning, all spirituality. They learned all the scriptures. And then it was so easy. After that, they came into the world, they were ready to face the difficulties. No difficulty at all. I think that should be the way. Okay?
Ji Maharaj, bilkul. That is what made the basis of it. Samajh gaya Maharaj.
Yes.
My second question, Maharaj Ji, is how does one cultivate calmness during work, especially works that are initiated with a lot of passion? Now, how do we separate passion from enterprise? Swamiji himself explains this on page 297 in the first para, but I would like you to make it clearer, please.
See, if you may, that is very important. The whole of the article is that calmness during activity is the most important thing, message is given.
Exactly, Maharaj.
And you find the same in Krishna and Arjuna, isn't it?
Yes, Maharaj.
They are fighting in the battlefield with absolute calmness. Arjuna was disturbed and Shri Krishna gave the message. And after that, Arjuna even fought with Bhishma Pitama, whom he loved so much, respected so much, with complete calmness. So the message was given in the battlefield itself. As a matter of fact, the Vedanta message is for the day-to-day life.
Yes.
What you have to do it. First of all, philosophically, you must thoroughly understand this. The message. Second is, in the morning, have deep meditation. Absolutely deep meditation. We must constantly pray to Thakur that let me have peace throughout the day.
Okay.
And remind yourself repeatedly the importance of calmness.
Okay.
If I become restless, I will not be able to do the work. It is not merely for the retreat that this is being done. This has to be intensely practical. And these are the means. The example of Shri Krishna, have a photo of Shri Krishna and Arjuna in your room. When you begin the work, you just pray to them and then start doing it. When you get out of the room, pray intensely that may I become peaceful. And whenever you are in the field also, try to have a little break. 5-10 minutes here, there, a little meditation, and then you start again. Okay?
Very well explained, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. And the next question, Maharaj, is how to develop the feeling that all power is within us, as Swamiji says on page 299, first para, and that we can achieve anything. At the moment, it seems very, very theoretical.
You see, let me tell you my example.
जी.
You know, when I was a student, medical student, I first read Swami Vivekananda,
जी.
complete works of Swami Vivekananda, first volume,
जी.
and went on reading. And I went on reading for all the 5 years. Even now we are reading. Every
जी.
day we read Swamiji.
जी.
Once you repeatedly go on reading Swamiji, do it every day.
जी. जी.
And then what will happen? Everyone must think, I can do. What will happen is that we will start thinking that I can do everything. Western people, English and American people, the young men, they always think that I can do everything.
जी. जी.
Why should you not be able to feel it? I can do
Yes.
everything. You
जी.
read
जी.
Swami Vivekananda and
जी.
this
जी.
idea comes. Immediately it will come.
जी
So
महाराज.
first of all, everyone must read Swami Vivekananda every day.
जी. जी. जी.
That is the most important message or answer I can give to this.
जी महाराज.
Nice.
Very well. Very well understood, Maharaj. Next question, Maharaj ji, is what is Swamiji saying about vegetarianism on page 301 on the last few lines? What does he mean when he says, I must not drag my ideal down to the actual and apologize for my weak conduct in this way?
Yes.
You see, he is talking in terms of vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism.
Ji Maharaj.
And he clearly says that killing animals for food is bad, isn't it?
Yes.
And the ideal is that you must not kill them.
Ji.
Now don't drag it down.
Ji, ji.
So he is very, very clear about it. He himself says, though I
Ji,
also
ji.
take meat, but I know it is not good. He himself clearly accepts it.
Ji Maharaj.
So that is the point of it. Never dilute the ideal.
Oh.
I cannot live up to it. That's it.
Never dilute.
I'm not able to live up to this.
Ji Maharaj.
You know, it is a big subject. As a matter of fact, Swami Vivekananda, later at one place I say that why I take meat, so that people might take it. Why? Indians are absolutely weak. There is no strength in them. By taking meat, their body will be strong. The protein has to be done. And excuse me, in spite of that, Bengalis take lot of meat and fish. Are they more stronger than Punjabis?
No.
No, Maharaj.
There is no battalion, not even a Bengali battalion is there.
Intellectual are they? They are much more intellectual than Punjabis.
No, absolutely. The meat has nothing to do with it. Meat has nothing to do with it.
Fish causes the brain
development. Nothing. Absolutely fearful people, Bengalis.
No. Bengalis are the best.
All right. The point is, Swamiji is against, principally Swamiji is against it, though he does not go very strong it. He said that I don't accept. So ideal must not be lower. Okay?
Ji Maharaj. Samajh gaya Maharaj. And last question, Maharaj ji. On page 306. Ji Maharaj.
In a spiritual point of view, in higher level, what happens is that you cannot go to higher spirituality if you are meat eating. Yatishwaranand, though a Bengali, he was a Bengal, East Bengali, but later on he completely gave up meat.
Ji Maharaj.
Yes, now.
Last, Maharaj ji.
एक मिनट महाराज जी, यहाँ 1 मिनट में बोल सकता हूँ कुछ?
अभी तुम्हारा टाइम है, आप बोलो, जल्दी बोलो।
हाँ महाराज जी, मैंने एक जगह ये पढ़ा था कि जो ये नॉन वेज खाते हैं और जिसको मारते हैं पशु पक्षियों को, तो जब बाद में लेटर, क्योंकि उनको भी तो मनुष्य की जिंदगी में आने के पहले 84 लाख योनि से गुजरना पड़ता है, और जब ये देखते हैं कि उनका 2 साल का बच्चे को बिच्छू ने काट खाया, तो क्या कारण है? तो ये मालूम, यदि सोचो तो ये हो सकता है कि कभी भी हमने किसी जानवर को मार के खाया होगा, तो आज वो बदला लेने आ गए।
अब होगा भाई तुम्हारे ये फिलोसफी जो है कर्मयोग कर्मफल मैं नहीं जानता.
हाँ ये सभी.
चलो 5th question.
अच्छा, last question Maharaj ji, on page 306 Swamiji says, you know in your innermost heart that many of your limited ideas, this humbling of yourself and praying and weeping to imaginary beings are superstitions. Tell me one case where these prayers have been answered. Now the question is, Maharaj ji, are these imaginary beings gods and goddesses? What does he mean?
You see, Swamiji is here talking of extreme Advait Vedanta, remember.
Acha.
So if he is talking of Advait Vedanta, he is not talking of God, etc. When he talks of Bhakti Yoga, he does talk of God. Remember.
Ji Maharaj.
So far as extreme Vedanta is concerned, he himself later on says that in India I have got so many centers. In various centers, all God's worship of God, etc. is there.
Ji.
But in Advaita Ashram Mayavati, I am going to make a center where there will be no God, goddesses,
no God.
Purely Advaita.
No photographs, yes, Maharaj.
No God, extremely.
Ji.
No, nothing. Second point is that if you pray to God, don't pray out of fear.
Okay.
Out of love.
Ji.
This is the main thing.
So, he always is against that praying to God out of fear. He was against it. That is the point we must understand.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
ठीक है महाराज, समझ गए. वो superstitions का basically meaning यही है कि हम डर के, we are afraid and that is why we pray to God out of fear.
Yes.
That is what he wants us to avoid. ठीक है महाराज. प्रणाम महाराज. That's all महाराज.
Yes. Okay. Kundu.
Yes, Maharaj.
Kundu.
Yes, Maharaj.
Can you hear Kundu?
One second, Maharaj. Maharaj, first question is same. This is already discussed, but I want to say, like, how does Swamiji resolve the issue of non-injury to animals vis-a-vis his own diet of meat eating that we have discussed? Now the question is, should everyone be vegetarian? That also you said. But I said even plants have life. Like when you say vegetarianism means non-injury to life, even plants have life. How do you resolve this?
You see, according to the Jains go to the extreme. Yes. They do accept that plants also have life.
Yes, Maharaj.
So what we do is, suppose some dried something is available.
Yes.
They go to Bhiksha. And if they get dry roti, they take it.
Yes, Maharaj.
Something is lying down, it is completely dried, they accept it because here now no more life is there.
Okay, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
So that sort of thing is very extreme. Now don't go in for this. Ahimsa, it a question of ahimsa comes. Unless you actually feel the intimacy. Can you feel the intimacy? You are not feeling.
That is a question. Yes, Maharaj.
You are not feeling. It is only theoretical. Yes, it is when you feel intimacy with the plants, then you will not eat it.
Yes, Maharaj.
So don't go in for theory. You cannot even give meat and they are talking of giving up vegetables. Don't do that.
Yes, Maharaj. This is something like if I have got a pet, I'll never think of, killing and eating it.
Yes. No. It is a theoretical question.
But you said at some point of time, Jiva Jivasya Jivanam bolke kuch ek bole the, Maharaj. Somewhere else you explained that, some type of killing will have to be there because Jivasya Jivanam aise kuch bole the aapne.
Jivasya Jivanam.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, what is that? Jivasya Jivanam. The meaning means is that human being cannot exist without killing.
Yes, Maharaj.
Jivasya Jivanam. Yani, unless I kill a vegetable plant and eat it, I cannot survive.
Yes, Maharaj.
Survival of human, unless I move about, I cannot but kill any microbes. If I breathe, I am definitely going to kill so many microbes. So no one can survive without killing others. Isliye called Jivo Jivasya Jivanam.
Jivanam. Yes,
That is the point.
okay.
So what you wanted to say was that everyone is, that is a creature. That is all right. But that does not mean that I eat 10 fish and say Jivo Jivasya Jivanam.
Okay.
That Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Then I say don't kill. Okay, why you said Jivo Jivasya Jivanam? No, never do that.
Unnecessary.
As far as possible,
yes.
If you feel the unity of existence, you yourself will not feel a desire. If I kill someone, I am killing myself. This yourself will feel. That is the important feeling in this article. Very, very important.
Yes.
Oneness of existence is very important.
Yes. And yes, Maharaj, understood. That yes, Maharaj. Second question, Maharaj, page 310. Swamiji says about the synthesis of intellect and feelings and gives supremacy to the latter. But my question is not Jnana Yoga a path to realize truth complete by itself?
Yes. You see, Jnana Yoga itself is a complete path. Yes. Why there is an objection? No question of an objection. It is a complete path. Yes. But what Swamiji is telling is, when he is talking of practically, he says that when your heart is there, let heart guide you. But when you are talking of pure Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, so the question of heart does not arise. Absolutely no. But here in the world, you live with intellect also, with heart also, with feeling also. So yes. Swamiji repeatedly says, let feeling you by guided by feeling, doesn't matter.
Yes, ma'am.
Got the point?
Yes, ma'am. Got the point.
Shivani, you are in the car. Can you talk?
Pranam Maharaj.
So in the car, okay, we can listen to you. Okay?
Yes, voice is very much clear.
Okay.
Shall I ask?
Yes.
Maharaj, my question is on page number 293. The paragraph is, that is why the man who becomes angry never does a great amount of work. And the man whom nothing can make angry accomplishes so much. So my question is, how can we become calm-minded and balanced-minded? Because it's very rare, very few are balanced and calm-minded.
It's not that it is not possible. First of all, remember it is possible.
Ji.
This is the most important thing you remember.
Ji.
Now at present, we have got anger, we have got passion, we have got desire, we are prompted by desire and we are doing it. But know for certain that this is not the ideal. Let the principle, these are the general principles we remember. First is read it repeatedly, get convinced, okay? That anger I have got, I must give it up. Secondly, for example, anger. You determine, make a determination that you will give it up. You will fail many times. Again try. If you fail, you do prayashchit. Oh, I got extremely angry, I ought not to have done. So I will fast half day. Like that, sanskar will be there.
Okay.
Fourth thing is, think of the bad effects. Think of the bad effects of anger. The blood pressure increases, adrenaline is produced, all that. And I can tell myself In the beginning, I was extremely short-tempered and angry person. And my father was worried actually, how will be able to live in a monastic life? And yet, I hold on, and gradually, I was able to completely give it up. What's your point?
Ji Maharaj.
Is that clear?
Ji, it's clear. Second question on page number 293. The less passion there is, the better we work. My question is, how can we be less passionate? Because I think one should have passion to do great work.
Now, you see, here the passion has two meanings. One is passion means desire, enjoyment, desire for enjoyment. And second, passion means your strength, energy, zeal. So yes, zeal must be there. But blind desire, जिसे कहते हैं ना कि अंधी भावना, काम अंधा काम, वासना में तो वासना में पीछे पड़ी रहे, ऐसा नहीं. पैसा कमाना है तो फिर और कुछ सोच ही नहीं रहे. That passion is not there. But
means attachment. Means attachment.
Yes, see, zeal is there. Zeal, if you want to say zeal as passion, that is all right. Okay? There must be a tremendous zeal to do the work. This is all right. So you can use that word passion for zeal, but that is a different thing. Is that clear or not? Shivani? What happened? नहीं आ रहा है.
Hey.
Hello.
बोरा जी फोन को साइलेंट कर दीजिए.
हाँ जी. ओके.
शिवानी?
हाँ महाराज, आ गया, सिग्नल चला गया था. हाँ, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पूछूं क्या?
हाँ हो गया. हो गया ना?
हाँ. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन महाराज.
बोलो.
On page number 304, love binds, love makes for that oneness. So my question is, as our basic nature is to love everyone like a child, but with our bitter experiences or simple experiences, we change ourselves and start behaving differently with others. So there is no chance of oneness. What to do?
Swami Vivekananda also was extremely loving, affectionate, very emotional. And Swamiji himself says that when you love, there will be, the effect will be suffering and nothing else. मालूम है ना? You know, there was a, where he was there somewhere, you know, and he was talking something, he became emotional and he left the hall, you know, where Swami with his disciples, he was talking about it and he became excited with emotion and he gave up. Sri Ramakrishna was extremely full of love, and that is why he suffered also. रोते रहते थे ना?
हाँ महाराज, यही क्वेश्चन तो है कि मतलब when we love each other, then we get hurt ourselves.
Yes, definitely होगा ये. हाँ. Yeah, definitely होगा. When we love, definitely the effect will be suffering will be there. संसार में कहाँ प्रेम करोगे तो जरूर कष्ट होगा. इसलिए कहते हैं कि भगवान को प्यार करो.
जी।
और भगवान को प्यार करने के बाद में उसी भगवान को संसार के समस्त प्राणियों में देखकर प्यार करो, लेकिन फिर भी कष्ट तो होगा ही होगा। श्री रामकृष्ण को स्वामी जी ने कहा कि आप जो हैं वो जड़ भरत जैसे हो जाएंगे, जो आप मेरे को इतना प्यार करते हैं। श्री रामकृष्ण गए माँ के मंदिर में और कहा कि माँ ये क्या कहता है नरेंद्र। श्री रामकृष्ण ने कहा कि तू मुझ में भगवान को सब में देखता है, इसलिए प्यार करता है। एंड येट व्हेन यू लव देयर विल बी पेन। और क्या भगवान को प्यार करने में पीड़ा नहीं होती क्या? लव गॉड, विरह कितना होता है? गोपियों को कितना विरह होता था?
जी।
तो लव के साथ में सफरिंग हमेशा रहती है, याद रखना। यानी वो अमेरिका में थे, लास्ट टाइम जब छोड़ के आ रहे थे तो रात भर नींद नहीं आई। मेरी हेल और हेल सिस्टर्स और हेल फैमिली को छोड़ के आने वाले हैं, आगे कभी नहीं मिलेंगे। तब स्वामी जी खूब रोए, सारी रात को रोए। श्री राम कृष्ण रोते थे। तो सफरिंग जो है वो प्रेम के साथ लगी ही रहेगी। तुम्हारा क्वेश्चन क्या है शिवानी?
My question was कि practically it is not possible ना, with our experiences we also get change. Otherwise जैसे छोटा बच्चा है वो सबको प्यार करेगा, सबके साथ रहता है, तो हम basic nature is to love, but experiences we get change.
हाँ ठीक है। हाँ नहीं तो क्वेश्चन क्या हुआ
महाराज? प्रैक्टिकली
question?
पॉसिबल नहीं है ना सबके साथ प्यार से रहना और फिर वो वननेस में जाना, ये था क्वेश्चन।
नहीं तो वननेस कैसे जाओगे फिर? देन ये तो कहो कि वननेस से, वननेस ऑफ एक्सिस्टेंस की बात जो स्वामी विवेकानंद कहते हैं ये प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है, प्योरली थ्योरेटिकल है। ज्ञान से भी नहीं जा सकते, कैसे जाओगे? ज्ञान से करो तो कभी न कभी जीवन में सब लोगों के साथ एक्सपीरियंस तो करना पड़ेगा। That manifestation has to be done, and then in that there will be suffering always there.
ठीक है
महाराज,
लोगों के सफरिंग तुमको सफर करना पड़ेगा। If you become one, you will suffer yourself. एक
तो
गरीब आदमी का दुख जो है तुम्हारे चेहरे पे आएगा।
महाराज कथामृत में जैसे है कि दया और माया
नहीं तो माया की, हाँ तो दया तो ठीक है ना, कोई बात नहीं।
दया तो
इनका ये प्रश्न है कि ये तो संभव नहीं है।
जी
मेरा ये कहना है कि ये संभव नहीं है। क्यों नहीं होगा? ये तो आदर्श है, लक्ष्य है, और वी हैव टू पास थ्रू सफरिंग।
वही मैं सोच रही थी, क्योंकि वो प्रैक्टिकल वेदांता में उन्होंने बोला है ना, तो प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल है तभी बोला है, तो कैसे हम कर सकते हैं? ठीक है, अभी आपने जो आंसर दिया उसमें कुछ मिल जाएगा।
हाईएस्ट है। अरे वो पहवारी बाबा जो थे, तोड़ के पीछे दौड़े थे ना
जी।
मालूम है ना? पहवारी बाबा के यहाँ चोर आया था, उसके पीछे जोड़े थे, उसको उन्होंने रोटी जो भी चोरी किया था उसको खुद ले जाके उन्होंने दिया था। क्यों? उसके अंदर उन्होंने भगवान को देखा था। तो
जी
महाराज स्वामी जी तुरानंद जी को भी कहते हैं ना कि मैं रिलीजन तुम्हारे रिलीजन के बारे में नहीं जानता, पर मेरा हार्ट बहुत बड़ा हो गया है, सबके लिए मैं
वही
सबके लिए मैं फील करता हूं।
दैट्स राइट
महाराज। प्रणाम
यस
महाराज।
नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन।
हाँ जी महाराज, ऑन पेज नंबर 306, do you feel? That is the question. If you do, you will see the Lord. As we all have feelings, but with the time we change and realize that it's of no use. So what's the use of feelings for others if we cannot do any help to them? Instead, we hurt ourselves a lot. Same question है.
Swamiji here is talking. Swamiji is talking here in terms of feeling for God. Do you have feeling? If you feel you love God, you will realize Him.
Okay.
अरे बाबा, अभी सारी फीलिंग्स को रियलाइज भगवान में लगा दो।
ठीक है महाराज।
सारी फीलिंग्स को भगवान में लगाओ, ये पहले करो, उसके बाद में आ जाएगा। देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू फील फॉर अदर्स। ये संसार में फीलिंग जो करेंगे उसमें दुख तो होगा ही। ऑलरेडी वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दिस पॉइंट।
हाँ, मुझे थोड़ा ये समझ में आया था कि पहले लोगों के लिए फील करना फिर भगवान के लिए, तो अब ठीक है महाराज, क्लियर है। लास्ट क्वेश्चन, पेज नंबर 307. Feel like Christ and you will be Christ. Is it true that this feeling alone will help in curing diseases as well?
हाँ?
महाराज यहाँ फीलिंग्स का दिया ना, feel like Christ. हाँ, feel like Christ and you will be
तो
a
you feel like, हाँ, तो क्या इसमें क्वेश्चन क्या है तुम्हारा?
क्वेश्चन है, is it true that this feeling alone will help in curing diseases as well?
Why there is no question of disease here? Disease को कहाँ ला रहे हो तुम? You are talking in terms of Christ and you are thinking disease here.
हाँ, but they are talking about feelings, na? If we are feeling like.
No, okay, but why you are talking in terms of Christ? You are feeling like Christ and Buddha, isn't it?
हाँ, because, हाँ.
So where is the question of disease?
They are talking about
disease
feeling, na? If whatever we will feel, we will become. So if we'll feel about ourselves healthy, so then diseases can also be cured.
No, a question of healthy, unhealthy, Swamiji is not talking.
That is true.
He is talking of you feel like Christ and you become Christ. You feel like Buddha and you will become Buddha. The question of disease does not arise here.
Okay. So this question is not relevant there. That's all, Maharaj. हाँ, that's all, Maharaj.
हो गया?
हाँ जी महाराज, thank you. हाँ, प्रणाम.
रीता है, रीता विश्वास.
Yes, Swamiji. My first question, real activity is combined with eternal calmness, the calmness which cannot be ruffled, the balance of mind that cannot be disturbed, whatever happens. In day-to-day activities, the mind gets swayed, disturbed, and is not calm. How does one bring about this eternal calmness and work? This Subhiji had asked this question. Yes, Swamiji.
I have already discussed,
yes.
Say, before you begin with a deep meditation, and, try to find out why you become disturbed. Remember.
Oh, yes, Swamiji, that is the important.
What is the problem with you, if something is there outside, you find someone beating another person, and you get disturbed.
Yes.
The cause is outside. Now you have to find out why you get disturbed. That is the important point. What is the problem with you?
Yes, Swamiji.
And then I have already discussed
that
if you someday get disturbed, you get angry, that day you do prayashchit. Don't eat that day, or take half the food.
Yes, Swamiji.
And Swamiji repeatedly says, and that middle in a article 294, 98 page, that Vedanta is intensely practical.
Yes.
In the sense, it is your second question or first question? Second question.
Second question. Vedanta preaches the ideal, and the ideal, as we know, is always far ahead of the real, the practical. What is meant by this sentence? Is the ideal not the reality that we are looking for?
No. Just now it is very clearly told. The ideal has to be practiced in day-to-day life. It is not the reality. यदि कहा है कि सब जगह भगवान है, तो ये है एक्चुअली ये आइडियल जो है वी हैव टू रियलाइज, बट सेम थिंग यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस ऑल्सो।
ओहो यस यस,
यानी जो तुमको आदर्श बताया गया है उसको डे टू लाइफ में प्रीच करना, प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा।
यस स्वामी जी।
स्वामी जी सेज डोंट प्रीच इम्प्रैक्टिकल आइडियल।
यस,
यानी छोटी छोटी आइडियल तो हम प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर पाते हैं, बड़ी बातें नहीं करते हैं, इसलिए ये प्रॉब्लम होती है। अनफॉर्चुनेटली यू नो actually the ideal is there that everyone is God.
Yes.
So try to behave like that.
Yes, Swami.
I will behave when I start living, seeing it, not this.
Huh.
Not this.
Not this.
I don't know whether you understood it.
I have understood, Swami ji. I had actually partly understood, and the other part has filled in now. Then the third question. If we are already divine, why can't we know that? If selfishness and practically are limited to sense enjoyments, how can we
because of Maya,
rid of this lower idea and go to the real idea?
No, because you know क्या है कि again read the question.
Yes, Swami, I'm reading.
Read again.
If we are already divine, why can't we know that? If selfishness and
because of Maya, listen to me. Listen.
Yes, because of Maya.
Because of Maya, we are not able to do it.
If selfishness and practically are limited to sense enjoyments, how can we get rid of this lower idea and go to the real idea?
By sadhana, by spiritual practice. There is no other way out.
There is no other way.
You have to practice. You have to practice unselfishness. Satish Vig.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, most of the questions have been, I think, have been answered. Still, I will read them. Maharaj, according to me, the means given by Swamiji to realize the ideal of Vedanta, that is oneness of all and faith in ourselves, are themselves the ideals. Hence, my first question is, how to first realize these means?
Every day you read Swamiji. Every day you read Swami Vivekananda. He's so powerful.
That I am doing.
Every day you must read. No, I am telling to Satish. Read Swamiji every day.
Right, Maharaj. Right. I will.
That will come. Ideas are the means. Think you will become Buddha. We already discussed that.
We have already discussed.
Very clear. Very clear.
Very clear. Maharaj, how can we have the feeling of oneness when we are in this world of competition, when we compete with each other for bread, for honor, for everything else? It is a zero-sum game. My gain is others' loss and others' gain is my loss. इस कंपटीशन वर्ल्ड में जो लव करना, दूसरों से प्यार करना, वो कैसे संभव हो? ये
वो वेदांत, वो वहाँ पे वेदांत नहीं चल सकता
जी महाराज।
उनको छोड़ना पड़ेगा, अपनी रोटी दूसरे को देनी पड़ेगी भाई।
जी जी।
ये भवारी बाबा थे, जो चोर आया था तो चोर को दौड़कर उसको रोटी दिया, उसको कपड़ा दिया, जो चोरी लेकर रहा था वो ले जाया था। ये आइडियल है। सूनर और लेटर उस आइडियल को अपने जीवन में डालना पड़ेगा। ये कंपटीशन के लाइफ और वेदांत नहीं चलती। बिल्कुल सीधी बात है। डोंट ट्राई टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज।
जी महाराज, जी महाराज।
बहुत सारी कहानियां कर्मयोग स्वामी विवेकानंद का पढ़ो, उसमें उन्होंने गृहस्थों का बताया है कि जो दूसरों के कल्याण के लिए अपनी जान तक दे देते हैं, अपनी रोटी तक दे देते हैं और भूखे मर जाते हैं। तो ये आदर्श है। तो यहाँ कंपटीशन मत लाना, नहीं हो चल सकता वो,
नहीं हो सकता। जी महाराज। महाराज, लास्ट क्वेश्चन। वी ऑलरेडी नो वी आर ओमनिशेंट। स्वामी जी कहते हैं कि हम तो वी आर डिवाइन, तो फिर हमें डिविनिटी तो हमें नजर नहीं आती, तो वी विल हैव टू रियलाइज द डिविनिटी। इट इज वी, मतलब कि हमें तो महसूस जो फीलिंग आती नहीं है ना कि हम डिवाइन है। वी हैव टू रियलाइज इट। उसके लिए तपस्या करनी पड़ेगी, उसके लिए नीति नीति करनी पड़ेगी।
क्या है, फिर से करो। नीति नीति का क्या क्वेश्चन किया तुमने?
क्वेश्चन ये था कि स्वामी जी कहते हैं कि वी आर डिवाइन, बट हमें तो उसकी रियलाइजेशन नहीं है ना, तो हमें उसको रियलाइज करने के लिए तपस्या करनी पड़ेगी, नीति नीति करनी पड़ेगी। हाउ कैन वी से वी आर डिवाइन व्हेन वी आर एट द मंडेन लेवल, वी आर एट द वर्ल्डली लेवल?
अरे भाई, हम जब स्टूडेंट थे ना, तो स्वामी विवेकानंद को जब पढ़ते थे ना, रोज पढ़ते थे, और उसको तो लगता था कि हम डिवाइन हैं। हमको तो लगता ही नहीं था कि मंडेन है, मर जाएंगे। अब डिवाइन लगता था हमेशा। अब दिन भर तुम ये सोचे रहोगे, संसार में पड़े रहोगे, सकूंगे मरने वाला हूँ, मरने वाला हूँ, तो मरने ही वाले हो जाओगे। अरे आत्मा अमर है भाई, उसके अंदर बोलने से काम नहीं चलेगा। रोज स्वामी विवेकानंद को पढ़ो ना, रोज, एवरी डे। कर्मयोग, ज्ञान योग, राजयोग पढ़ो। अरे जो भी पढ़ोगे, हर एक
वही बात, वही क्वेश्चन वही पर आ जाता है।
अरे हर एक लाइन स्वामी विवेकानंद कहते हैं यू आर डिवाइन। हर एक पेज पे यू आर डिवाइन आ रहा है स्वामी विवेकानंद।
जी महाराज, जी महाराज, वही वो जो आइडल्स वो मीन्स बता रहे हैं, पहले उनको रियलाइज करना पड़ेगा, वो हमारी लाइफ में आनी चाहिए। स्ट्रेंथ।
अरे छोड़ो, मैं तो यही कहता हूँ स्वामी विवेकानंद को पढ़ो और कुछ नहीं, बस। आइडियल फाइडियल चक्कर नहीं, बस सब पढ़ो, रोज पढ़ते जाओ। रोज ऑफिस से निकलने, घर से निकलने के पहले आधे घंटा स्वामी विवेकानंद को पढ़ो। तुम्हारा सारा दिन जो हैगा ऐसा निकलेगा जैसे तुम डिवाइन हो।
राइट राइट महाराज, राइट
महाराज जी, वी हैव टू डीहिप्नोटाइज आवरसेल्फ।
इसे अभी उन्होंने एक क्वेश्चन और है, तीसरा क्वेश्चन पूछो तो। थर्ड क्वेश्चन।
महाराज वो
क्या तुम्हारा थर्ड क्वेश्चन है, क्या है?
मैं पूछता हूँ महाराज। स्वामी जी टेल्स अस टू फील, ये है क्वेश्चन महाराज। स्वामी टेल्स अस टू फीलिंग की बात कर रहे हैं कि हमें फीलिंग को ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस देनी चाहिए इंस्टेड ऑफ इंटेलेक्ट, इंस्टेड ऑफ रीजनिंग। ये है माय क्वेश्चन महाराज।
और चौथा क्वेश्चन? नहीं, यही है।
चौथा क्वेश्चन मैंने पूछ लिया, चौथा क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया महाराज। आई थिंक दिस इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट। फीलिंग रीजन वो तो समझते हैं कि
हाँ, फीलिंग को इम्पोर्टेंस दिया क्योंकि फीलिंग में फोर्स होता है, लेकिन अहंकार यानी नॉलेज में, ज्ञान में जो है वो कन्विक्शन होता है। अगर कर्म करना है तो फीलिंग लो, अगर किसी चीज को समझना है तो ज्ञान प्राप्त करो। ठीक है,
ठीक। पहले ज्ञान प्राप्त करके फिर ही वो फीलिंग आएगी ना महाराज।
पहले बड़ा प्रतिष्ठित हो जाओ कि मैं आत्मा हूँ, मैं शुद्ध बुद्ध स्वभाव हूँ, मैं अजर अमर हूँ, उसके बाद तुम्हारी फीलिंग सब अपने आप आ जाएगी।
राइट राइट। प्रणाम महाराज, प्रणाम।
हाँ दिलीप भाई।
जी प्रणाम महाराज जी। मेरा पहला सवाल है,
दिलीप भाई का मजा देखें। हाँ।
What I found in majority intellectual people, Vedanta is gymnastics. The philosophers from the West of old and present time, they talk much positive and negative. The philosophers who talk positive, their followers, they do not practice Vedanta in their life. Why? What is the reason?
अरे भाई, देखो, स्वामी विवेकानंद के हजारों फॉलोअर्स हैं।
हाँ
कुछ प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, कुछ नहीं प्रैक्टिस करते हैं
जी।
और अगर तुम केवल ये देखो कि लोग प्रैक्टिस नहीं करते हैं तो कोई फार्म नहीं चलेगा। 90% लोग प्रैक्टिस नहीं करते।
अच्छा जी जी।
सिर में तिलक लगाने वाले, गेरुआ कपड़ा पहनने वाले कुछ भी नहीं प्रैक्टिस करते हैं। कि तुम उसको ये चीज क्यों देखते हो? तुम अपना प्रैक्टिस करोगे कि नहीं करोगे ये देखो। ये इतना हुआ, 2 साल से जूम मीटिंग हो रही है, कितना प्रैक्टिस कर सके हो ये बताओ।
हाँ,
खुद को देखो, दूसरे को मत देखो।
बराबर,
ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है।
जी महाराज, दैट्स वेरी राइट। On page number 296, sixth line from the bottom, eternal calmness in intense activities. What is the meaning of eternal calmness, Maharaj? In
meaning of
eternal calmness in intense activities.
इटर्नल पढ़ो ना।
हाँ, eternal calmness.
इटर्नल यानी सदा विद्यमान रहने वाली शांति।
हाँ,
किसी भी प्रकार से समाप्त डिस्टर्ब नहीं होवे
जी।
यानी सब कुछ अच्छा रहे ना, तो सब शांत रहेंगे। सबसे बड़ी विपत्ति आ जावे, मृत्यु सामने आ जावे, तो भी बिल्कुल विचलित नहीं होना।
बराबर। अब मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि ये
कामनेस
नहीं, पर ये इंटेंस एक्टिविटीज में मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड की बात कर रहे हैं ये?
नहीं, इटर्नल सारे संसार के हमारे कर्तव्यों को पालन करो, लेकिन पूर्ण रूप से शांत बने रहो।
ओके, ओह यस, राइट महाराज।
युद्ध में अर्जुन और कृष्ण ने युद्ध किया तो इतना बड़ा एक्टिविटी किया,
हाँ,
लेकिन पूर्ण रूप से शांत बने रहे।
ओके जी,
ये बात है।
हाँ महाराज, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट व्हेन यू फाइट विद समवन टू रिमेन क्वाइट।
अरे यदि बहुत इजी होता ना तो दिलीप भाई आप भी संत हो जाते।
अरे बाप, अच्छा जी। नहीं,
अरे इतना वेरी डिफिकल्ट, स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ क्या आसान है?
जी जी महाराज, राइट,
वेरी डिफिकल्ट, डेफिनेटली डिफिकल्ट।
जी महाराज जी। माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज द बैलेंस ऑफ माइंड which is never disturbed whatever happens, and we all know from our experience in life that that is the best attitude for work. ये लिखा हुआ है आर्टिकल में। Does it mean that we should not do work to solve our worldly problems?
क्यों? ये अभी तो डिस्कस हो गया ना।
नहीं, ये लिख रहा है the balance of mind which is never disturbed whatever happens, and we all know from our experience in life that that is the best attitude to work. Yes, ये हो गया इसके अंदर बराबर। We should not be disturbed, we should remain calm.
हाँ, तो ये तो हो गया, डिस्कस हो गया। तो
राइट महाराज, ये मेरा थर्ड क्वेश्चन था। नाउ फोर्थ क्वेश्चन, आई कम, not believing in the glory of our souls are what the Vedanta calls atheism. Is it not a pride and it is bad? So-called many priests, sannyasi, mahatmas and priests moving in the society, and they are telling that they have realized God and they are God. They are doing harm in the society. So what they are doing?
देखो अभी बार डिस्कस हो गया ये, याद रखो दिलीप भाई।
जी महाराज जी, जी।
धर्म के क्षेत्र में ये धूर्त लोग हमेशा होंगे।
हाँ,
उस पर डिस्कस करने से काम नहीं चलेगा।
यस,
तुम देख लो, कोई बात भी हमेशा कभी न कभी जो बढ़िया चीज होगी ना उसको लोग ढोंग करेंगे ही।
जी।
धर्म के जीवन में भी है, संसार में भी है, तुम तो जानते हो।
जी,
बहुत बढ़िया लोग दिखेगा, अच्छा कपड़ा, खादी का कपड़ा पहनेगा, महात्मा गांधी की टोपी पहनेगा और तुम जानोगे कि ये बदमाश है कि नहीं?
जी बिल्कुल सही महाराज जी, यही दिखता
तो ये तो सब जगह होता है
जी।
इसको महत्व नहीं दो।
अच्छा,
यानी तुम मूर्ख मत बनो। तुमको वो कहीं धोखा न देवे, ये ध्यान रखना बस।
राइट, ये बिल्कुल ये हिंदी में लिखा हुआ।
अरे
अपनी
अरे
आत्मा की महिमा में विश्वास न करने को ही वेदांत में नास्तिकता कहते हैं। यस, ये हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है, अपनी आत्मा की महिमा में विश्वास न करने को ही वेदांत में नास्तिकता कहते हैं।
हाँ, तो प्रश्न क्या है तुम्हारा?
हाँ, मेरा प्रश्न यही है कि आत्मा में विश्वास नहीं करें तो ये नास्तिक हो जाएंगे। वी शुड बिलीव इन आवर सोल।
हाँ, यस। हाँ, तो अब प्रश्न क्या है? ठीक है, डेफिनेट तो है
जी।
तुम देवी देवताओं में विश्वास करते हो लेकिन खुद की महानता में विश्वास नहीं करते हो।
ओके जी,
ये क्या बात?
ओके।
तो कृष्ण के मंदिर में जाते हो लेकिन खुद नहीं जानते हो कि कृष्ण तुम्हारे हृदय में बैठे हैं, तुम ही भगवान हो, जानते ही नहीं हो ये
जी।
ये हो गए नास्तिक, हुए कि नहीं हुए?
बराबर, ये नास्तिक हो जाएंगे कि हम मंदिर जाते हैं।
अरे तुम मंदिर के मूर्ति को प्रणाम करते हो, अरे तुम्हारे हृदय के भीतर तो जीवंत जागृत चैतन्य परमात्मा श्री कृष्ण बैठे हुए हैं।
हाँ,
बोलते हैं कि नहीं?
जी।
सबसे जीवंत चैतन्य परमात्मा श्री कृष्ण तुम्हारे हृदय में बैठे हुए हैं
जी।
उसको नहीं मानोगे तो नास्तिक हो जाओगे। तो
यानी हमें अपने आत्मा को पहले समझना होगा और बाद में
पहले समझना पड़ेगा। हाँ,
तो बाद में मंदिर। ओके महाराज, इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। हाँ, top 2 lines of page number 299, because Vedanta shows that it is realized already. It is already there. When it is already there, then what and how made them crying in the world? What prevents them from knowing this?
क्या हुआ
महाराज? ये 2 लाइन लिखी हुई है, because Vedanta shows that it is realized already. And it is already there. इनका महाराज ये है, मैं पेज पढ़ता हूँ।
अगर विश्वास करते हो तो 1 मिनट में हो गया।
हाँ, यस,
तुम भगवान हो, तुम नित्य शुद्ध आत्मा हो, अगर विश्वास है, दृढ़ विश्वास हो तो 1 मिनट में हो गया, ऑलरेडी देयर।
ओह यस,
स्वामी जी बार बार इस महत्वपूर्ण बात को कहते हैं। अरे तुम अभी हो, कहाँ तुम सोच रहे हो, तुम परमात्मा स्वयं हो तुम्हारे भीतर
जी,
भूल जाते हैं हम।
Okay. The next question, the Vedanta does not recognize no sin. It means there is nothing like existence of sin.
प्रश्न क्या है तुम्हारा?
हाँ, ये क्या sin के लिए क्या है, क्या महाराज कह रहे हैं? The Vedanta does not recognize sin.
हाँ, वेदांत जो है वो तो सबको आत्मा नित्य शुद्ध परमात्मा मानता है
जी।
वो वहाँ पाप जैसी नहीं मानता कोई चीज। ये पापी कहोगे तो खुद पापी हो जाओगे। अपने को बार बार पापी कहने से पापी हो जाओगे। स्वामी जी बार बार इस चीज को कह रहे हैं, बार बार रिपीटेडली स्वामी जी कहते हैं कि पापी पापी कहते हो पापी हो जाओगे।
अच्छा, नहीं तो पाप नाम की कोई चीज है भी या नहीं,
ये तुम्हारे ऊपर निर्भर करता है, तुम मानो तो लो। स्वामी जी तो कहते हैं कि मैं नहीं मानता।
महाराज जी, अब इसमें से मेरा छोटा सवाल था सांसारिक, कि ये कोई चोरी करता, कोई बेईमानी करता, कोई किसी का मर्डर करता है, ये पाप है या नहीं? फिर
ये गलती है।
ओके, ना पाप नहीं है।
उसको याद नहीं रहा, वो भूल गया कि वो भगवान है, इसलिए गलती कर ली।
अच्छा,
पाप का नाम क्यों देते हो उसको? ये भरा हुआ है पाप पाप पाप।
हाँ, यानी डिक्शनरी में से सीन हट जाना चाहिए।
पाप शब्द जो है ना उसको हटा दो।
राइट, ओके, वेरी राइट। जी सर, यानी पाप की जगह वी शुड रिप्लेस इट बाय गलती। हमसे गलती होती जा रही है,
गलती कह दो।
हाँ, गलती कैन बी रेक्टिफाइड। राइट महाराज जी, नाउ माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, देयर इज ओनली वन आइडियल। ये तो हो गया है मेरा 7वां। अब नेक्स्ट मेरा सवाल है, द प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ वेदांता, ये भी हो गया, आइडियल ऑफ रिलीजन, व्हाटएवर यू मे।
चलो जल्दी चलो, अब टाइम ज्यादा नहीं है मेरे पास।
जी बिल्कुल, मेरी कंप्लीट ही करने बैठा। With faith in religion and faith in themselves, What is the difference between the two?
इसका क्या है?
Faith in religion and faith in themselves. ये पेज 304 पे लिखा हुआ है.
नहीं, क्या है? रिलीजन एंड
Faith in themselves, खुद में विश्वास और रिलीजन में विश्वास.
पेज नंबर बोलो.
पेज नंबर 304 है, आखिरी से चौथी लाइन है. वो आपके हमारे पेज में फर्क भी हो सकता है तो का.
Principles of Vedanta or ideal of religion or whatever you call it will be fulfilled its capacity for performing this great function. वो एक ही चीज को दो नाम दे दिए हैं
जी.
The principles of Vedanta,
yes,
और the ideal of religion, यही तो बोल रहे हो.
हाँ, और उसके नीचे के पैराग्राफ के नीचे से चौथी लाइन है faith in themselves. It is that. उस पेज पर नेक्स्ट.
हाँ, तो that faith in themselves.
Yes, हाँ, that is that. Yes.
Throughout the history of mankind, if the motive power has been more potent than another in the lives of great men and women, it is the faith in themselves. Now, प्रश्न क्या है तुम्हारा?
हाँ, मेरा प्रश्न ये कि faith in themselves and the faith in religion ये दो अलग चीज है क्या?
नहीं, अपने आप में विश्वास करो. सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात छोड़ो, बाकी सब छोड़ दो.
बाकी छोड़ देते हैं.
Faith in themselves is the most important thing.
Yes. Okay. Now my next question. Tell me one case where these prayers have been answered. Yes. There are people who are living in the miseries and poverty only on the hope of prayer that one day the God will hear our prayers. Otherwise, people would have committed suicide. Yes, Swami ji कहते, tell me one case where these prayers have been...
पेज नंबर बोलो, तो पेज नंबर बोलो.
हाँ, 306 महाराज, 306 पेज नंबर 306. हाँ, फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ की छठी लाइन है. हाँ,
क्या है?
tell me one case. Tell me one case. Sixth line. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All our actions will magnify, transform, deified by the power of thought. नहीं, उसके बाद यही से क्या है?
नहीं. वो पैराग्राफ स्टार्ट होता है. These are some terrible doctrines to teach.
पैराग्राफ स्टार्ट कब से होता है?
पेज नंबर 306 का है. These are sometimes terrible doctrines to teach. I know people who get frightened.
ठीक है. इसके कौन सा पेज, कौन सा? हाँ, बस बोलो. मिला मेरे को, बोलो तो.
उसकी 7वीं लाइन है. Tell me one case where these prayers have been answered.
Tell me one case where these prayers have been answered. All the answers came from your own heart.
Yes.
तुमने भगवान को प्रार्थना किया, उसकी प्रार्थना का उसको फल मिला. वो भगवान ने नहीं, तुम्हारे हृदय से ही हुआ.
यानी नहीं महाराज जी, ये बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. यानी हम जो प्रेयर करते भगवान को, गरीब आदमी हम लोग हर तकलीफ में भगवान से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि भगवान ये तकलीफ होगी, तो क्या ये तो
तुम्हारे भगवान तो तुम्हारे भीतर ही है. बार स्वामी जी कह रहे हैं इस चीज को.
तो we should not pray to the God.
अरे करो ना. ये जानो कि जो मिलेगा वो भगवान मेरे भीतर ही है, उसको मैं प्रार्थना कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, उससे मिलता है. ओके, माय ओनली वन क्वेश्चन लेफ्ट. अभी 2 मिनट है. द कंप्लीट पेज स्पीक्स अबाउट गुड एंड गुड ऑफ लव. देन व्हाई पीपल से लव इज ब्लाइंड. पेज नंबर 308 पूरा ये लिखा गया है, लव एंड लव. सो व्हाई पीपल से लव इज ब्लाइंड. आठ पेज का सब दूर लिखा है, लव इज ट्रूथ, लव बाइंड्स पीपल, लव मेक्स दैट वननेस. तो फिर ये कहा क्यों जाता है लव इज ब्लाइंड. यदि ब्लाइंड होगा तो ये सक्सेसफुल थोड़ी हो सकता है.
नहीं तो ब्लाइंड होगा तो माँ जो प्यार करती है, तो बच्चा गंदा हो बुरा हो प्यार करती है ना. उसमें कुछ देखती है कि मंदा गंदा है, बड़ा अच्छा है बुरा है. वो तो बच्चा हमेशा उसका अच्छा ही रहता है. हम जो बोलते हैं कि पढ़ नहीं लगता है, माँ को तो सब लगता है कि ये मेरा सबसे अच्छा बच्चा मेरा सबसे अच्छा है। यानी वही है ना, फॉर लव इज एग्जिस्टेंस, यानी यहाँ पर लव इज एग्जिस्टेंस, गॉड हिमसेल्फ, एंड ऑल दिस इज मैनिफेस्टेशन ऑफ दैट वन लव मोर और लेस एक्सप्रेस्ड। इस प्रेम को यहाँ पर उन्होंने महान, सबसे महान बताया स्वामी जी ने। लव बाइंड्स, लव मेक्स फॉर वननेस। प्रेम ही तो दो को मिलाता है ना।
बिल्कुल।
तो प्रेम को अगर 4 आदमी तो करोगे तो 4 लोग मिल जाएंगे। हम यहाँ रामकृष्ण मिशन के हम 200 साधु एक दूसरे को प्यार करते हैं तो दोनों मिल गए ना, एक हो गए तो।
हाँ। अच्छा।
तो प्रेम जो है वो जोड़ता है तो एक करता है ना।
हाँ।
अब इसमें क्या दिक्कत है?
नहीं,
वो ये नहीं देखता है, ये नहीं देखता है कि ये बदमाश है या क्या है। तो इंदौर वाले सब मेरे हैं। अब इंदौर में तो बदमाश भी हैं और अच्छे लोग भी हैं, वो सब ब्लाइंड हो गया।
तो
इंडिया मेरा है। अब इंडिया में बदमाश भी होंगे तो भी वो मेरे हो गए। प्रेम ने सबको जोड़ दिया। तो
ये बिल्कुल सही बात है, लेकिन इंटेलेक्चुअल्स का क्या रोल ही नहीं है क्या लाइफ में?
इसका नहीं, वो तो बात डिस्कस हो चुकी है
जी।
यानी वो जब प्रेम के बिना नहीं काम चलता।
हाँ,
प्रेम से ही जोड़ोगे तुम।
ओके जी। हाँ, और इसी का सप्लीमेंट क्वेश्चन इसके अंदर नेक्स्ट में है, हार्ट इज सुपीरियर देन इंटेलेक्चुअल्स।
ये तो हो गया, डिस्कस हुआ है बार बार
ऑलरेडी।
ओके, बस दैट इज ऑल महाराज जी, प्रणाम। जस्ट विद इन टाइम।
अच्छा, ठीक है।
10 बजे है बराबर।
अब एक तरुण चौरसिया का प्रश्न। तरुण।
हाँ महाराज।
तरुण चौरसिया आए तो थे, चले गए।
हाँ महाराज। प्रणाम महाराज।
हाँ, पूरा।
महाराज मेरा प्रश्न था कि जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि विश्वास पे, जैसे अब हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हमें अपने आप पे तो इतना पूरा विश्वास नहीं, पर भगवान पे विश्वास है कि वो जो भी करेगा अच्छा करेगा। तो इसको कैसे अपन ने जस्टिफाई करेंगे?
अरे भगवान में जो है ना, स्वामी विवेकानंद बार बार अपने आप में विश्वास को महत्व दे रहे हैं।
जी महाराज। अगर
भगवान पे विश्वास, भगवान पर विश्वास करना इतना आसान नहीं है। अगर कर सको तो बहुत अच्छी बात। तो तुम्हारा प्रश्न क्या हुआ?
नहीं, प्रश्न ये हुआ कि कई जगह ऐसा होता है कि अपन कोई डिसीजन लेते तो बोले डिसीजन तो अपन ने ले लिया जैसे, पर अपन ये बोलते हैं कि चलो नहीं हुआ, ये तो भगवान की इच्छा है, तो भगवान जो करेगा अच्छा ही करेगा, तो अपन फिर उससे विश्वास करके आगे बढ़ जाते हैं।
तो ठीक है। नहीं, प्रश्न क्या हुआ तुम्हारे? इसमें प्रश्न तो तुमने बता दी बात।
प्रश्न ये है कि
क्वेश्चन का रूप दो।
क्वेश्चन का रूप में ये हुआ कि जैसे अपने आप में कई बार जैसे विश्वास है, जैसे बोलते हैं कि अपने आप में विश्वास नहीं हो तो आप नास्तिक हो गए। तो अपने आप में तो कई बार ऐसे विश्वास है ना, हर समय विश्वास अपन नहीं कर पाते, पर अपन ये सोचते हैं कि भगवान में अपने को विश्वास है तो चलो ठीक ही होगा। तो ये ऐसा सोचना ठीक है क्या है? नहीं,
अब ये व्यक्ति पर निर्भर करता है।
अच्छा।
यहाँ पर स्वामी जी बार बार अपने पे विश्वास की बात कर रहे हैं
जी।
हाँ,
यहाँ
तो
इस आर्टिकल में बार बार भगवान सुनाई नहीं रहे हैं, अपने आप में विश्वास की बात स्ट्रॉन्गली कह रहे हैं।
तो
और
अपने
जो
आप पे
भक्त
विश्वास
हैं तो फिर भगवान पे विश्वास कर सकते हैं, उसमें कोई भी दिक्कत नहीं।
ठीक।
लेकिन फिर वो भी भगवान में विश्वास से पक्का होना चाहिए ना, वो इतना आसान नहीं होता।
जी महाराज।
अपने आप में भी विश्वास नहीं हो पाता और भगवान में भी विश्वास नहीं हो पाता। जो भी एक लो वो अच्छा होना चाहिए, पक्का होना चाहिए।
जी महाराज।
ठीक है।
ठीक है महाराज। प्रणाम महाराज।
हो गया?
जी महाराज।
शांति मंत्र।
नमस्ते सबको।
शांति मंत्र महाराज।
ओम शांति
शांति शांति। हरि ओम। कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
अभी 10 मिनट बाद में